Welcome back. Well, all throughout the hour, you've been seeing master pumpkin carver Barry Brown do his work, and it's so amazing. Well, it is now time for the big reveal. Barry, show us what you have made.
Well, I'm just about finished.
Okay.
But I did the Colorado and Company logo.
Oh, that is awesome. That is so good.
So just a few more cuts and I'll be done.
It literally looks just like our logo. I mean, that is some talent, Barry.
Well, thank you.
So what is a master pumpkin carver, and how did you earn this title?
Well, they say you get to be a master if you've done 10,000 hours of a thing.
Okay.
So when I was just out of college, I found a carving kit in one of the grocery stores here on 11th and Ogden. And it was the very first ever pumpkin carving kit. And I won a prize in the contest, and I learned that the pumpkin carving kit, the very first one ever, comes from about a mile over here in Cherry Creek.
Really?
There was a couple that kind of invented the method, and we met at one of the shows that I was doing downtown, and they said, hey, would you come and work for us?
Oh, what a
So then
story.
I worked for the first ever pumpkin carving kit company, and 8 years later we moved downtown. We were in their basement when we started. My desk was in their laundry room.
Oh my goodness.
That's how you start to become a master.
That is quite a story and so neat to hear. Well, this took you under an hour to do.
Yes.
I mean, that is so neat. How long does it take you to create one of your masterpieces from start to finish?
Well, like the ones that are in the studio right now, those have taken me hours and hours because they're so big, and those are foam pumpkins.
Okay.
So they last forever.
Oh, look at those.
Yeah, there they are.
I mean, that is some detail there.
Yes, I love to do the detail. That's kind of what I think is masterful carving. But it's really fun just to carve with kids and other people, like I do carving in cocktail parties or family carving with people.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun to use a pattern and to carve the pumpkin and to light it. That's the most important thing, because the light changes everything.
Absolutely. And look, this time of year is my absolute favorite. People are getting excited. Give us some tips on carving and how we can make our own unique creations.
Well, the first few tips are to use a pumpkin that's smaller, like the size of a basketball. This is a little bit bigger than I like, but the size of a basketball that'll fit in your lap, because I like to carve in my lap.
That's okay.
That's one of the first tips.
Okay.
I open the pumpkin from the bottom.
God, that's a perfect opening.
Yep. So I
so
open it up. I use a little lid.
Oh.
And then it's just big enough to fit my hand in. And then this scoop is one of the best tools, because I can scoop out a pumpkin in about a minute.
Really?
And really get in there and scrape.
And scrape it. Okay, so you want to scrape it well, where everything is out.
Yeah, and then even where you're carving, you want to thin down the wall of the pumpkin.
Okay.
Because that makes it easier to carve.
Of course.
If it's too thick, it makes it harder to carve.
Harder to carve.
If you have a pattern, this is what I've used for my Colorado and Company pattern. Tape it onto the pumpkin, and then I have this little poker tool that I poke along the design lines.
Oh.
And that transfers the design. Another really secret tip is to use flour to shake it onto your transfer holes, and you rub that flour in, and it turns the holes from dark to light, and then you can see them better.
Does it? Okay.
Then you just carve dot to dot. I'm going to kind of fake it here because I've already carved this part. But you carve like you're holding the saw with a pencil, like a pencil.
Okay.
And you carve very gently.
Very gently.
And so the last tip is, don't try too hard.
Okay.
If it looks like this, or if you're, like, that's why it's good to carve in your lap, because wherever you're carving is at the very top of the pumpkin. So you saw straight up and down, and you don't try too hard. And you take your time.
How fun is that? I think this is the year my kiddos and I are going to carve something unique.
I'd love to see your pictures after you're done.
Okay, I will, probably not going to be that great, Barry, but okay.
But listen, when you put the light in, it changes everything.
It changes everything.
When the carving is okay. Like the carvings that I first did when I got the kit, they were okay. But when you put the light in,
then
it makes it magical.
It makes all the, and look at those. Oh my gosh, I would love those for the entrance of my home. Imagine that, everyone. Okay. You've got another title. It's called Author. Tell us about this book, Barry. This is so exciting.
My friend Jeff LaGreca and I wrote this book called The Pumpkin Kid. And it's a story about a little boy that carries his misshapen pumpkins through his little village at the end of the harvest.
Okay.
And he borrows tools from his friends, like a little saw, a little bent pin. And so he does this method actually in the book. And when he carves the carvings, when he puts the light in, he takes the tools back to his friends and he brings those carvings to his friends, and they light up the shack. And it's like the light starts to move and dance, and it changes their heart.
Oh, I love that concept. So it's the story it's what the book is about.
That's right.
I love it. I was thinking maybe tips on carving, but no, there's an actual story in here.
It's a great story that my friend wrote. It's kind of a fairy tale in a way.
Yeah.
And speaking of carving and cutting things, I made all the illustrations out of cut paper.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Barry. See, you are so unique and amazing. Okay, and again, as we're heading into fall season, what a great book to pick up. And if you're thinking about carving pumpkins, this is the man to call right here. It's Barry Brown, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today. And I know you've got a special deal just for Colorado and Company viewers, so you can order a custom carving. Here we go. Make sure you guys know this. Order a custom carving and you'll get a copy of one of his books for free. Just send him an email with Coco in the subject line. His email is up on your screen right now. Make sure you do that. What a way to welcome the fall season.